Hello again, and welcome to another live assembly, or recorded live assembly, with your servant of Yahweh. I am GL, and I'm looking very much forward to getting back into this. Last recording, we left off in Genesis chapter 2, verse 5, and we'll pick up with that right now after I thank you and give honor to the Father, Yahweh, and say bless you in the name of his son, Yahweh HaMashiach. Let us get into this and see what we can come up with and see just how much we have to learn in these verses. Verse 5, and every plant of the field before was in the earth. I'm not going to repeat that again. I think I did that enough at the close of last time. Besides, for me, that was only a couple of minutes ago, so yeah. And every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till it the ground. Now, for those of you who are confused from chapter 1, at this time, no man had been made and put on the earth. Not one. There was no man here. Okay? There were Elohim here. However, this was not made for Elohim. This was made for man. So, as he stated, he did not cause it to rain, and there was not a man to till at the ground. If you'll excuse me just a second, I have to turn off my alerts. Well, that was a little more than a second, but you get the idea. So, verse 6, but there went up a mist from the earth and watered at the whole face of the ground. So that's part 1. In verse 5 it said, he had not caused it to rain. So now there's a mist that went up from the earth. So we got the first part of that out of the way. Verse 7, and Yahweh Elohim formed at the man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Okay, I'm going to take my time with this. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read my notes because this is a very important verse. I say that a lot. So again, bear with me because I will say that a lot, and these are important verses. There is nothing here that says man is a spirit possessing a body and having a soul. Later on, we'll read James 2:26, and it states that the body without the spirit is dead. That's another matter for a lot further in the future, so we'll just deal with this right now. So together we know that Yahweh's breath implanted his life-giving breath. I said that intentionally. Yahweh's breath implanted his life-giving breath in us that we may live by his life. Apart from him, we face death. Even more, it says that man became. He wasn't made to be, he became a living soul. In other words, man was previously an unliving soul. I didn't write this. Okay? This is one of my favorite disclaimers when I'm talking with people and teaching them the things that I know. I didn't write this stuff. These things were written by people far better than me, and they were, They were influenced, they were guided by Yahweh. You know, his set apart spirit, if you will. Nonetheless, he may have guided them himself. Maybe the other Elohim guided them. But I didn't write this, so don't give me the credit. I'm only showing you what's here. It says that man became a living soul. In other words, man was previously an unliving soul. That bears repeating. So what was this breath of life? I make the supposition that it was more than air, more than oxygen. Instead, I think this breath of life contained all the body's essential fluids, as well as everything else that was not made by dry dust when man was formed. In his breath came all the stuff that keeps us alive and tells our man, our body, what to do. You know, our immune system to fight off foreign agents, autonomic, that's a bit of a tongue twister for me, autonomic systems to do the countless number of things we require and could not think to do on a minute by minute, second by second, on a continuous basis. In it, we probably got our emotions to feel, because don't forget, he just made a body. He didn't have any of this stuff. Senses to communicate and discover, and so on. Another verse with interesting wording. Unlike the verse below where the animals are formed, this verse says, he made man of the dust of the ground. This is somewhat significant. Unlike the ground, which is compacted and strong, dust is loose and unstable. You may think that some of your activities throughout your life have been loose and unstable. Perhaps this is the problem with our overall sense of loyalty, especially when it comes to loyalty to Yahweh. We're loose and unstable like dust. We are psychologically predisposed. In other words, in our minds, we are just ready to do the opposite. We're not stable. We're not solid like the ground. We're like dust. We're fickle. We are psychologically predisposed to being a whimsical, carefree, aimless nature like dust. Any simple wind can rile up some dust and blow it around. It will settle most any place with only some particles sticking around and the rest blowing away with the next gust. And it doesn't take much of a gust. Even more significant perhaps is that dust is positioned atop the ground. You got dust on top and the ground at the bottom. While it is not stronger per se, it does cover the ground as it wills. So in a sense, the dust rule over the ground, the same as man was commanded and given authority to rule over the animals. Remember order. Verse 8. You didn't know that was in there, did you? It's there. I didn't write it. I'm just showing you what's there. I'm trying to help you make sense of it. The way he helped me make sense of it. I didn't just get this on my own. He helped me, okay? Well, maybe you think he didn't. So either way, I got it. Now you got it. Verse 8. And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Again, these two verses specifically says that this is Yahweh Elohim. It doesn't say just Elohim. And I like that these translators are using the original language, or at least close to the original language, when it comes to giving us a translation. Yahweh did everything in order. Now that he had made a man, he planted the garden and placed the man there. After placing the man in the new garden that he had planted, Yahweh allowed the plants to grow, since there was now a man there to care for them. He did everything in proper order and time that he decided. Now, this all reads real personal. It does not say that Yahweh spoke and a garden popped up. It doesn't say that. Okay? Read what it says. It says that he planted a garden. If you ever planted a garden, you know that there's a lot of work involved. You got to get the proper tools. You know, you may need a trowel or a rake or some kind of hoe or shovel. You got to get the proper tools. You got to go and get the land ready. You may need some fertilizer. You know, there were no animals around at this time to give it natural fertilization. I don't know what kind of dry land appeared when they made it. I don't know if it was already ready, but we have to get the earth ready in order to plant seed. So this says that he did this. He planted it. It don't say he had help. It says he did it, okay? I didn't write it. Now I'm going to keep saying that. It says that he planted the garden. No other Elohim seems to be involved. For it is specifically reads that Yahweh, the Most High Elohim, planted the garden himself. Irregardless to its size, we don't know how big this Garden of Eden was. It says that he planted it. It was planted by hand by the Father himself. That is personal. Perhaps he could have spoken it, used his subordinates. He could have even told the man to do it. Instead, he did it himself. Secondly, he placed the man that he had formed in the garden. Now, he forms the man with his own hands. He breathes into his nostrils. Consider resuscitation on an infant. Adults place their mouth over the infant's nose and mouth. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but just picture the father placing his mouth over this newly formed man's mouth and bringing him to life. Now, infants, we put our mouth over their mouth and nose. It doesn't say, but just picture Yahweh putting his mouth over the lifeless man of Adam and breathing into his mouth and nose. Afterwards, he picked up his newly lifed son. I like that. His newly lifed son. Now, newly born, he wasn't born, he was made. So he was brought to life. So his newly lifed son, and pick him up into his arms and carry him to a garden that he just planted and then caused to grow to maturity just for him. Picture the warmth and nurturing that encapsulated these moments. This was a very tender moment. It could easily be read over and not given much attention, but it deserves a lot of attention. The father put himself into a very emotional situation where this new man that he made, he picked him up. Imagine him picking him up like a baby. Hey, Adam. He didn't even have a name at this time. He just called him the man. Hey there, man. I got a lot of stuff to tell you, and we're going to go over this stuff as we walk over to this garden I just made just for you. Imagine that. What would you do with your newly created adult child that you personally made with your very own hands? How would you feel? When you feel a lot of pride and a lot of hopes for the future, imagine what Yahweh must have felt. And then put yourself in that position. You're the master of the universe. You're the king of all the greatest beings that are known of or unknown of, whatever the case may be. Your divinity itself. And yet you plant a garden only because you need that garden to nurture this man and every other man to follow, as well as you made it just for him. And you carry him there. You transport him there. There was a lot of emotional, a lot of warmth involved between Yahweh and this new man that he made. We're going to leave off there, and we're going to pick it up again in chapter 2, verse 9, the next time we assemble. Until then, I am Yahweh's servant, here for you. Ask me questions, make comments, whether you believe it, whether you think I'm crazy or nuts. I've heard it all before, and I challenge you to show any of this to be inaccurate. Yahweh gave this to me himself. He showed me what to look for. He didn't give me all the answers. He just showed me what's there, just like I'm showing you. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on this assembly. Have a great day.